What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, there have been a myriad of opinions about Marvel Phase 4, which we'll talk about in depth during this video, but regardless, as a Marvel fan, where you stand in your opinion of the TV shows and films that came out over the last 2 years, Marvel Phase 4 was uniquely suited amongst all of the phases, not only having to onboard Disney+, seeing Marvel Studios try to figure out how to use their franchises for television, but also had to figure out how to navigate the delays and the deep impact of the pandemic on the already declining theater industry. Regardless, there was a separate story brewing how those felt inside the company, not just the fan reaction, and that's where we find ourselves today with the bombshell coming from the Cosmic Circus that Marvel Studios is about to do deep QC on phases 5 and 6 and what they're going to release for the slate. This is going to mean major changes, and we're going to talk about that in depth. We're covering the entirety of this new report and not only what it means for Marvel's phases 5 and 6, but going past that, how this is going to start to look very different when we see Marvel slates unveiled. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers and reviews, to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. We are right around the corner from that, and we're also giving away daily exclusive variant comics. We'll announce a brand new winner at the end of the video. Again, if you want to be entered to win, all you got to do, hit the sub button, leave a comment, stick around to the end of the video for the brand new winner announcement. Okay, so in the wake of the major CEO shakeup over at Disney, where Bob Iger replaced Bob Chapek, the guy who originally stalled him in the first place, coming back to take over the reins, as a lot of people, both inside and outside, were feared the company was headed in the wrong direction, Deadline issued an article warning of major restructuring and said, quote, organizational and operational changes within the company to address the board's goal were incoming, could be expected and imminent. But that's where today's article picks up and published by the Cosmic Circus, where they report, quote, we have received word from our sources that Marvel Studios is currently reevaluating its release lineup for phases 5 and 6. As phase 4 comes to a close, we've been informed of internal negative feedback about how phase 4 was handled regarding both product distribution and quality. They go on to say, quote, this has led to a fear that phases 5 and 6 are headed in the same direction as phase 4. Therefore, as a preventative measure and to ensure quality control, Marvel and Disney are now reevaluating future releases. Moving forward, they are interested in pushing a quality over quantity approach. Now, I don't think there's a single Marvel fan among us who's going to be upset to hear this. We definitely want quality over quantity, but we had started to hear some of the rumbles of these kinds of changes, and before Bob Iger ever made it back to his post. Originally, it was reported that projects like Echo were having some real problems with their post-production and could lead to huge delays or even being scrapped from the slate. We also heard that Marvel Studios months ago would start to prioritize the special presentation format, meaning one 45-minute to an hour-and-a-half feature-length film instead of 6 to 9 episodes for a story that may not need it, basically cutting all the filler episodes out of some of these TV shows that were less than. Now look, was Hawkeye categorically a bad show? No, and I remember some episodes I rather enjoyed, especially the first one, getting to see the Battle of New York from a different perspective, but I personally believe Hawkeye as an hour-and-a-half actual feature-length film would have served as a much better memory, and there have been some shows that definitely called for major episodic releases like Loki Season 1 and or WandaVision, some of the best offerings of Phase 4 that came at the beginning. Even with all of the pandemic delays, what happened to changing the stories and production, they definitely called for the season they had, and I think it's undoubted that Daredevil will too. There's just other properties in the future that will be better suited for a 45-minute or an hour-and-a-half presentation instead of a full episodic TV show, and while some of us diehard Marvel fans are going to watch any and everything they put out, some of the ratings for TV shows reflected how popular the characters are, or should I say aren't, amongst the common public past the actual diehard fan base, and I think you see that reflected in the ratings for shows like Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk, which compared to some other big hitters this year like House of Dragon were woefully small. Now, what does this actually mean for when we're going to start to see a change? They're not going to scratch anything they've already released. Echo is definitely under some heavy heat according to reports, but what they've already announced, what they have slated in, will stay in its current places. 2023 is already set. But going forward past that, we're already starting to see this play out, where they moved Blade from 2024 to 2025, the later part of Phase 6, and left a 9-month gap. They'll still keep on course for 3 movies a year. I am sure of that. Their bottom line actually calls for it. There's room in their theater and slate releases to push out 3 movies a year. But I think this will heavily impact what we're seeing for releases on Disney+. So when they're saying quality over quantity, I think this more impacts the Disney+ TV shows and what they're making into TV shows. Not just how these are written and produced, but the properties they're choosing to write and produce, picking characters that have a stronger fan base and a stronger following within the fan base. Look, Marvel Studios at some point had to focus on second and tertiary characters. The sandbox is only so big, and I don't fault Kevin Feige and Marvel for taking a chance on some of these characters who would have never otherwise gotten a TV show. And I think the same can be said for some of the properties being made over at Sony right now. The idea that we'd get a solo Morbius film and it would only be one of many adjacent Spider-Man Rogues Gallery characters that are getting their own film, like a Kraven film. But in a lot of cases, is that good? My argument has always been this: you can find the good in everything, and you don't have to ever defend if you don't like something. If you don't like it, that is your opinion. You are entitled not to like it. No one has to tell you that you have to, and you don't have to pretend. But in a world where we might otherwise not get a Morbius film, I think that sometimes as fans, we sort of criticize these things more harshly than the lay fan too. And when you saw Morbius hit Netflix, and a bunch of people who don't have the same intrinsic interest in the whole Marvel slate, Marvel Sony, and bigger world building ideas, they just watched Morbius for the movie it was, and a lot of people rather liked it. So there's a little bit going both ways. And let me be specific, right? We're the ones who are going to watch every episode of She-Hulk, but we're the ones who are also maybe going to criticize harder than the lay fan when they watch it. And that, again, that dichotomy within the fan base, that passion that drives us, apparently shows up inside Disney and Marvel Studios as well. And I'm really glad, guys. We want Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, people like that in charge of these films and IP. We couldn't have ended up with a better guy at the front of this. And eventually, at some point, if Marvel Studios was going to grow into what it is now, it needed a parent company like Disney and its resources to grow into what it became. While Marvel Phase 4 may have been less than for some, and while I will say there have been some really good projects, there have been some stinkers as well. If Phase 4 is what they needed to go through to sort of refine and get back to where we need to be in Phase 5 and 6, well, then these things happen, changes in the industry. I think it was always going to be the case, regardless of Bob Iger had stayed on with Disney+, that they were going to try to put out as much content over the last 2 years as possible. But now with subscriber numbers in the places that they are, it doesn't matter if you make extra TV shows. If the numbers are super low, then it actually doesn't affect your bottom line in the way you're trying. That's when you see Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk come out, get super low ratings, and they say, wait a minute, how many of these other projects are we making just to make, or how many of them are actually going to move our stories forward and be of quality? It will also hopefully alleviate some of what's been going on with the CGI, as in pertaining to She-Hulk. 2 different major CGI houses did the CGI for her. Everything of her in the office is one CGI house. Everything with her somewhere else is a different one. And her in the office, even now watching it back while I was recording this video, is just so bad. The CGI is just so bad. And honestly, Marvel Studios just doesn't need to put that out. Or if it's going to be bad and it needs much more time to be done, hopefully that's what they mean too, by actually making sure that they take the time they need. Less projects means more quality, and I think we're all for that. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below, how you feel about these changes, what you still want to see made of all these things, and going forward, are you going to be okay with maybe 2 or 3 less shows on Disney+? I am all for it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 1 million subscribers. We're also doing a daily comic giveaway. The announcer for today's winner will be in our next video posted this evening. We had a winner in yesterday's video. Make sure to check back for that. If you want to be entered to win, all the same rules will apply for all the giveaways. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name is Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes under the name All Fires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.